My child. Stop for a moment, don't scroll, don't look away, because this is not a coincidence and this is not just another message passing by your eyes. This is the moment you were meant to pause, the moment you were meant to feel something deeper inside your chest that you couldn't explain before, because I have been calling you in ways you didn't recognize. I have been reaching for you in silence, in dreams, in sudden thoughts that appeared out of nowhere, in those strange feelings when everything around you felt still yet your heart felt loud. I have been there in every unanswered question, every tear you wiped away thinking no one saw, every night you stayed awake wondering if anyone truly understood what you were going through, and still you kept asking where I am. But my child, I was there when your voice broke in the middle of your prayer. I was there when you didn't even have the strength to pray and all you could do was sit in silence, and even then I heard you louder than words, because I don't listen only to what you say, I listen to what you feel, and what you feel has been calling me again and again. But you were too distracted by the noise around you to notice the signs I placed right in front of you, the doors I closed to protect you, the delays that saved you from things you didn't even see coming. You thought I was ignoring you, you thought I had forgotten you, but the truth is I was protecting you in ways you couldn't understand yet, because not everything that feels like a loss is actually a loss. Sometimes it is my way of removing what would have destroyed you later. Sometimes it is my way of redirecting you towards something that will heal you instead of breaking you further, but you kept holding on to what I was trying to take away, and that is why it hurt more than it needed to, because you thought you knew what was best for you, but I see what you cannot see, I know what is coming before it even reaches you, and every step I allowed, every delay I created, every silence you experienced had a purpose, even if it didn't make sense at that moment, and I know there were times you felt completely alone. Times when it felt like no one was on your side, times when you questioned everything, even me, and you wondered if I was real or if you were just speaking into emptiness. But my child, I was closer in those moments than you have ever realized, because I never leave, I never walk away, even when you do, even when you stop believing, even when you choose your own path and forget about me, I still stay, quietly, patiently, waiting for the moment you turn back, not to judge you, not to punish you, but to remind you that you were never meant to carry everything on your own. You were never meant to fight every battle alone, you were never meant to feel this lost for so long, and yet you kept pushing through, pretending you're okay, smiling in front of others while breaking inside, telling everyone you're fine while your heart was tired, your soul was heavy, and your mind was filled with questions that had no answers. But I saw all of it, every hidden pain, every silent struggle, every moment you felt like giving up but didn't, and that is why I am speaking to you now, because you reached a point where something inside you started to change, you started to feel that maybe there is more, maybe there is a reason, maybe there is something waiting for you beyond this confusion, and you are right, there is, but in order to reach it you had to go through what you've been through, not because I wanted to hurt you, but because I needed to prepare you, to shape you into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who will not break easily when life tests them again, because it will, and when it does, you will remember this moment, you will remember that you are not alone, that you were never alone, that even in your darkest time there was a presence guiding you, protecting you, holding you together when you felt like falling apart. And I know you don't have all the answers right now, I know things are still unclear, but you don't need to see the whole path to take the next step, you just need to trust that I am leading you somewhere better than where you are now, even if it doesn't feel like it yet, even if everything around you still looks the same, something has already started shifting, something inside you has already begun to wake up, and that is not by accident. That is because you are being called into a new phase of your life, a phase where you will no longer settle for what drains you, where you will no longer chase what was never meant for you, where you will finally begin to understand your worth, your purpose, and the strength that has been inside you all along. And yes, it may feel uncomfortable, it may feel unfamiliar, because growth always does, change always does, but this time you are not walking into it alone. This time you are being guided, step by step, even when you don't see it, even when you don't feel it, and that is why you needed to see this message today, at this exact moment, because something inside you is ready to hear it, ready to understand it, ready to accept that maybe, just maybe, everything that happened was not to break you, but to build you into who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is stronger than who you used to be, wiser than who you used to be, and closer to me than you have ever been before, even if you don't fully realize it yet, because sometimes the biggest changes happen quietly, deep within, before they ever show on the outside, and this is one of those moments. This is one of those turning points you will look back on and realize that this was the moment something shifted, the moment you stopped feeling completely lost and started feeling a small sense of direction again, even if it was just a spark, even if it was just a feeling you couldn't explain. Because that spark is the beginning, that feeling is the sign, and I have been trying to reach you through it, again and again, hoping you would finally stop, listen, and understand that you are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, you are not too far gone, you are exactly where you need to be for what is coming next at My Child. Now that you have paused, now that something inside you has started to listen, I need you to understand something deeper, something you may have ignored for a long time, and that is the fact that not everything that left your life was meant to stay, not every person who walked away was meant to walk beside you forever, and not every door that closed was meant to be reopened, even though you tried, even though you prayed, even though you begged for things to go back to the way they were, but if they were meant to stay, they would have stayed without you having to fight so hard for them, without you having to lose yourself just to keep them, and I saw how much of yourself you were giving away just to feel accepted, just to feel loved. Just to feel like you belonged somewhere, and it broke you slowly, quietly, piece by piece, until you didn't even recognize yourself anymore, and still you held on, thinking that if you just tried a little harder, if you just waited a little longer, things would change. But my child, you were holding on to something that was already gone, something that had already served its purpose in your life, and the more you held on, the more it hurt you, because you were never meant to stay in that place. You were never meant to keep shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were too small for who you are becoming, and that is why I had to step in, that is why I had to remove things, even when you didn't understand it, even when it felt like everything was falling apart, because sometimes things need to fall apart so they can fall into place the way they were always meant to, but in that moment, all you could feel was the pain, all you could see was the loss, and all you could think was why is this happening to me, why now, why this way, and you questioned everything. You questioned your worth, your decisions, even your purpose, and there were nights when you felt like giving up completely, nights when the silence felt heavier than the noise, when your thoughts became your biggest enemy, replaying everything over and over again, making you feel like you were the problem, like you weren't enough, like you did something wrong to deserve this. But listen to me carefully, my child, you were never the problem, You were simply in the wrong place, surrounded by the wrong energy, trying to build something where there was no foundation, trying to grow where there was no light, and that is why it felt so hard, that is why it drained you, because you were fighting against something that was never meant for you in the first place. And I know it doesn't erase the pain, I know it doesn't instantly heal what you felt, but it gives meaning to it. It gives purpose to what you went through. Because none of it was wasted, none of it was meaningless, every experience taught you something, even if it was just showing you what you don't deserve, what you should never accept again, and what you need to walk away from without hesitation next time, because there will be a next time, there will be moments when you will be tested again, when you will be placed in situations that look familiar, that feel comfortable. But this time you will see clearly, this time you will recognize the signs you ignored before, this time you will choose differently, not because you suddenly became stronger overnight, but because you learned, because you grew, because something inside you changed through everything you went through, and that change is what I was preparing you for, that awareness, that strength, that quiet understanding that you don't have to chase what is meant for you, you don't have to beg for what is already yours. And you don't have to prove your worth to anyone who cannot see it. Because what is meant for you will recognize you without effort, it will stay without struggle, it will grow without forcing, and it will bring you peace instead of confusion, clarity instead of doubt, and strength instead of weakness. And I know right now you are still healing, you are still processing, you are still trying to make sense of everything. And that is okay. You don't have to rush this process. You don't have to pretend you are completely fine when you are still putting yourself back together, because healing is not something that happens overnight. It takes time, it takes patience, and most importantly, it takes trust. Trust that what you lost was not meant to stay, trust that what is coming will be better. And trust that you are being guided even when it feels like you are standing still, because even in stillness, things are moving behind the scenes, things are aligning in ways you cannot see yet. And the delays you are experiencing right now are not denials, they are preparations, they are adjustments, they are moments where everything is being set into place so that when it finally arrives, it comes in the right way, at the right time, and in a way that does not break you again, because I will not allow you to go through the same pain the same way again, not after everything you have already endured, not after everything you have already learned, and that is why I am asking you now to let go. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Let go of what hurt you. Let go of what drained you, let go of what kept you stuck in a place you were meant to leave, because you cannot move forward while still holding on to what belongs to your past, and I know it is not easy. I know there are memories, feelings, attachments that are hard to release, but holding on to them will only keep you where you are, and you were not meant to stay here, you were meant to move, to grow, to step into something greater, something that matches who you are becoming now, not who you used to be, and that is why you feel this shift, that is why things no longer feel the same, that is why what once made you happy no longer satisfies you, because you are evolving, you are changing, you are stepping into a new version of yourself, and with that change comes a new path, new opportunities, new connections, and a new sense of purpose that you have not fully discovered yet, but you will, step by step, moment by moment, as long as you keep moving forward, as long as you keep trusting, even when it's hard, even when you feel uncertain, because you are not walking blindly, you are being guided, even now, even in this very moment. As you read this, as you feel this, as something inside you begins to understand that this is not the end of your story, this is the beginning of a new chapter, one that will not look like your past, one that will not carry the same pain, one that will show you why everything had to happen the way it did. And when that moment comes, you will not feel confused anymore, you will not question everything the same way again, because you will see clearly that every loss had a purpose, every delay had a reason, and every moment of pain was shaping you into someone who is finally ready to receive what has been waiting for you all along, my child. By now you can feel it, something inside you is no longer the same, the way you see things has started to shift, the way you respond to pain, to confusion, to silence is not what it used to be, and that is transformation happening quietly within you, because while you were focused on what was falling apart around you, I was rebuilding something stronger inside you, something that cannot be easily shaken again, something that will not collapse the moment life becomes uncertain, and you may not fully recognize it yet, but you are not the same person who once begged for things to stay, you are not the same person who once tolerated what hurt you just to avoid being alone, you are not the same person who once ignored your own worth just to keep others comfortable, because now there is a voice inside you that speaks differently, a voice that questions what doesn't feel right, a voice that no longer agrees to everything just to be accepted, and that voice is not there to confuse you, it is there to guide you, it is there to protect you from repeating what once broke you, but you must listen to it, you must trust it, even when it asks you to walk away from what feels familiar, even when it pushes you toward what feels uncertain, because growth will always feel uncomfortable before it feels right, and the path you are being led to now is not meant to be easy, it is meant to be real, it is meant to be aligned with who you truly are, not who you pretended to be for others, and I know there are still moments when fear tries to pull you back, moments when doubt whispers that maybe things will never change, maybe you will always feel this way, maybe you are not ready for what is ahead. But that fear is not your truth, that doubt is not your reality, it is only a reflection of what you have been through, not a prediction of where you are going, and you must not let your past convince you that your future will look the same, because it will not, it cannot, not after everything that has already shifted within you, not after everything you have already survived, because you did survive, even when you thought you wouldn't, even when it felt like too much, even when it felt like the weight of everything was pressing down on you all at once, you are still here, still breathing, still moving forward, even if it's slowly, and that means something, that means there is more for you, more than what you have seen so far, more than what you have experienced, more than what you have settled for in the past. But in order to reach that more, you must release the belief that you are not worthy of it, because for a long time, you accepted less than you deserved. You convinced yourself that this is just how life is, that pain is normal, that disappointment is something you just have to live with, but I am telling you now, that is not the life I intended for you, that is not the path I created for you. And the reason you felt so restless, so unsatisfied, even when things looked fine on the outside, is because deep down you knew you were meant for something different, something greater, something that aligns with your true self, not the version of you that was shaped by fear, by rejection, by past wounds, and now you are being called to step into that truth, to step into that version of yourself that no longer hides, that no longer settles, that no longer stays where it is not valued, but stepping into that version requires courage, it requires letting go of what feels safe but is actually holding you back. It requires trusting me even when you don't have full clarity, even when you cannot see how everything will come together. Because you don't need to see it all, you just need to take the next step, and then the next, and then the next, and I will meet you there every single time, guiding you, opening doors, placing the right people in your path, removing what no longer belongs, and aligning everything in a way that you will one day look back and realize that nothing was random, nothing was wasted, not even the pain, not even the confusion, not even the moments when you felt completely lost, because those were the moments that pushed you to grow, that forced you to look within, that made you stronger in ways you never thought you could be. And I know you are tired, I know there are days when you feel like you don't have the energy to keep going, days when you question if it's even worth it, but listen closely, my child, you are closer than you think, closer to the breakthrough, closer to the clarity, closer to the peace you have been searching for, and this is not the time to give up, this is not the time to go back to what you already outgrew, this is the time to keep moving, even if it's one small step at a time, even if it's just choosing to believe for one more day that things can change, that something better is coming, because it is, even if you cannot see it yet, even if you cannot feel it fully yet, it is already in motion, already being prepared, already finding its way to you, and when it arrives, it will not feel forced, it will not feel confusing, it will not make you question your worth, it will feel right, it will feel peaceful, it will feel like something you don't have to fight to keep, and in that moment, you will understand why everything else had to leave, why everything else had to fall apart, because it was making space for something that truly belongs in your life, something that aligns with who you are becoming now, not who you used to be. And that is why you had to go through this transition, this phase of uncertainty, this period of feeling lost, because you were not being left behind, you were being repositioned, you were being redirected towards something that matches your growth, your strength, your purpose, and now you are standing at the edge of that shift, whether you realize it or not. You are standing at the point where your old self no longer fits but your new self is still unfolding, and it may feel uncomfortable, it may feel unfamiliar, but it is necessary, it is part of the process, and you must not turn back now, you must not doubt now, because everything you have been through was leading you to this moment. This exact point where you begin to see things differently, where you begin to choose differently, where you begin to believe differently, and that is where everything starts to change, not all at once, not overnight, but gradually, steadily, in a way that builds something real, something lasting, something that will not break the way things did before, and through it all, I have been here, guiding you, protecting you, speaking to you in ways you are only now beginning to understand. And I will continue to guide you. As long as you keep listening, as long as you keep trusting. As long as you remember that you are not alone in this journey, you never were, and you never will be my child. This is the moment where everything you've felt, everything you've questioned, everything you've been through begins to come together in a way you could not have understood before. Because now you are no longer the same person who started this journey, now you are someone who has seen pain but did not let it destroy you, someone who has faced confusion but did not let it define you, someone who has walked through silence and still found the strength to keep going even when no one else saw how hard it was for you, and that strength, that quiet resilience inside you, that is where I have been all along, not outside you, not far away from you, but within you, guiding you. Holding you together when everything else felt like it was falling apart, and I know there were times you felt like you were losing everything, times when it felt like nothing was working in your favor, times when you thought you were being left behind while everyone else was moving forward, but what you didn't see was that you were being positioned, carefully, intentionally, for something that required a stronger version of you. A wiser version of you, a version of you that could handle what is coming without breaking under the pressure of it, because what is coming into your life is not small, it is not temporary, it is not something that will leave you the way other things did, it is something that will align with you, grow with you, and stay with you, but you had to become ready for it first, and readiness does not come without process, it does not come without moments of doubt, of waiting, of feeling like nothing is happening. Because in those moments, everything is actually happening beneath the surface, everything is being prepared in ways you cannot see yet, and now you are reaching the point where things will begin to make sense, not all at once, but enough for you to feel that shift, enough for you to realize that you are no longer stuck, you are no longer lost in the same way you once were, because something inside you has awakened. Something inside you now recognizes what is right for you and what is not. What deserves your energy and what does not, and that awareness is the key, that awareness is what will guide your next steps, what will protect your peace, what will keep you from returning to what once hurt you, and I need you to hold on to that, I need you to trust that, even when old feelings try to come back. Even when familiar situations try to pull you in again, because not everything that returns is meant to stay, sometimes things come back just to test whether you have truly learned, whether you have truly grown, whether you are ready to choose differently this time, and you are, even if you don't fully believe it yet, even if there is still a part of you that feels unsure, you are ready. Because you are no longer the same, you are no longer willing to lose yourself just to keep something that does not value you, you are no longer willing to stay in places that drain you, and that is where your power lies now, in your ability to choose, in your ability to walk away, in your ability to trust that something better exists even if you cannot see it yet, and as you continue forward, step by step, moment by moment, you will begin to notice the changes, not just around you, but within you, the way you think, the way you respond, the way you carry yourself, and those changes will open new doors, doors that once felt out of reach, opportunities that once seemed impossible, connections that feel natural instead of forced. And when those things start to appear in your life, you will understand why everything else had to fall away, why everything else had to end the way it did, because it was never meant to be your final destination, it was only a chapter, a lesson, a part of your story that helped shape who you are becoming, and now you are stepping into the next chapter, one that is not defined by your past pain, but by your present strength and your future purpose, and yes, there will still be challenges, there will still be moments that test you. But this time you will face them differently, this time you will not feel as lost, because you will remember this, you will remember that you are guided, that you are protected, that you are not walking this path alone, and whenever you feel uncertain again, whenever you feel like you are drifting, I want you to come back to this moment, to this feeling, to this understanding that you were never ignored, you were never forgotten, you were being reached, again and again, in ways you are only now beginning to recognize, and even after this moment, even after this message ends, I will still be with you, in the quiet, in the decisions you make, in the strength you feel when you choose what is right for you, in the peace that slowly replaces the confusion you once carried, and one day, sooner than you think, you will look back at this version of yourself, the one who felt lost, the one who felt unsure, the one who almost gave up, and you will feel proud, not because everything was easy, but because you kept going. Because you didn't stop, because you chose to believe even when it was hard, and that choice, that one decision to keep moving forward, will lead you to everything that has been waiting for you, everything that is meant for you, everything that will finally make sense of the journey you have been on, and when that day comes, you will no longer ask why things happened the way they did, because you will already know the answer, you will feel it, deeply, clearly, without doubt, and until that day arrives, keep going, keep trusting, keep listening, because my child, I am still speaking, I am still guiding, and I am still reaching for you, just as I always have been, and just as I always will be.